Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan. Season 2 of the Audible original Impact Winter has finally arrived. The groundbreaking post-apocalyptic vampire series is back with a vengeance, with most of the main cast returning. There is a lot to unpack. Never fear though, I am here to be your guide.
Hi! I'll be your guide!
Impact Winter stands out from most other vampire stories because of its setting, the post-apocalypse. And this tells us everything we need to know about the themes of this series. You see, vampire stories have their origins in medieval literature and gothic fiction, and ever since then they have reflected the hysteria of their time. Dracula was about the fear of society encroaching sexualization on young women. True Blood was about homophobia, and Thirst was about societal rejection of religion. You get the idea. Now, this is just my interpretation, but I believe that Impact Winter is about our current anxieties about climate change, global disasters, and the age of misinformation. Now, some of the vampires in this series, like the Blighters, are very easy to spot, but others can pose as humans. You don't know who to trust.
Looking over your shoulder needs to become second nature.
This is a story about a humanity that feels powerless in the scope of world events. The human race is no longer in control of the planet. Sound familiar? The new season of Impact Winter opens with a meeting of loyalists to the Crown, the Vampire Crown. Vampire stories will often refer to monarchical structures or large groups of vampires. Buffy had the Master, True Blood divided their monarchs by state, and Impact Winter added a brilliant twist on this by using the identity of the Vampire Queen to express the inherent duality within vampires. But that's all I'm going to say because of spoilers for part 2. Now, when I picture the Vampire Queen, I see someone like Maleficent. They're both regal sorceresses who bring about the destruction of mankind or a kingdom to further their own ambitions. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you didn't listen to the first season. Footmen have reported the Overlord, Callistrata, has been killed by a single bite from Darcy.
She is the Winter Child to anyone who subscribes to such heresy.
What does Winter Child mean?
Well, Doug, the Winter Child is an ancient vampire prophecy that foretold a chosen one who would kill the queen and release the world from darkness.
Oh, okay, Winter Child, I get it now. Thank you very much.
To uncover where she is, the council plans to exploit the most common newborn vampire's weakness, the life they left behind. Cut to Darcy's younger sister Hope writing Darcy a letter. It's been 6 months, 3 since her last letter to her sister. Refugees in Soho keep coming to Lochran Castle for shelter. Hope questions if Darcy is the one who is liberating them. While things have been going well, she writes that there has been a peculiar incident. So, in this series, Travis Beacham uses journals as a way to catch the audience up on events and to get us into the character's thoughts. This is called an epistolary, basically telling a story with letters. Now, the first popular vampire novel, Dracula, is told entirely through letters, telegrams, and newspaper articles. And just like in Impact Winter, we're frequently updated with the current date. Hannah and Sam, mere technicians, disappeared when they went out with the tanker to collect water. Penelope, a refugee vampire who's now head of security, and Hope head out to investigate and discover a crime scene. Normally, this would be chalked up to a beastly blighter attack. However, they slashed their tires and killed them without feeding. Back at the castle, they check the dash cam and discover the entire attack happened off screen. It is weird that there's no visual on the attack and that the pack of blighters, or perhaps just one blighter, slipped through their surveillance net. Penelope thinks that something is off.
So when do we see the thing we're not seeing? Another Overlord?
But it's clear this attack feels like a message. Hope spends the rest of the evening watching Star Wars with the Soho refugee, Lydia, who is training to be a nurse in the clinic.
Lydia, oh Lydia, say have you met Lydia?
She asks Lydia what she can remember about the Soho blood farms. Most of her memories are foggy, but she remembers being called to a house on Dean Street with a bright red door, but not what was inside of it. Lydia never determined the vampire's name that freed her, but it's hinted at that it was Darcy. What is clear is that both girls are crushing on each other and plan to watch one movie tomorrow that they both have already seen.
Let's go, lesbians, let's go!
Get it? Get it?
I don't get it.
I'll tell you when you're older. Hope and Penelope head out to collect the tanker from the attack and drop off Hope's letter to Darcy. There is a box in the woods where she was instructed to leave them. On their way back to the Humvee, they discover their tires have been slashed. On top of the slate roof, they spot a huge blighter.
You gonna come willingly? Or am I gonna have to make a mess?
Penelope orders Hope to run, but she stands her ground to fight with her friend.
Let's make a mess, shall we?
Over on the Irish coastland, Darcy awakens from a nightmare. It's February 13th, 2044. Darcy dictates in her journal her visions of her maker and overlord Rook being tortured and what she has been learning from his maker, Fëanor. Darcy's growing anxious, knowing that her mission to kill the queen will bring back the sun, and every day she doesn't make a move, her sister's life, in particular, remains in danger. Her own scion and lover Felix is making use of himself, such as fixing helicopters so they can scout human vampire hunting militia.
Oh, you know the types. A bit like those lads in Wales, from what I hear.
Felix reminds me very much of Peeta from the Hunger Games, somebody who is loyal to the heroine while their mutual love grows over time.
Hey, and you know who I picture for Whisper? Alicent from House of the Dragon, because she's an attendant to royalty.
Actually, Doug, that's a great parallel because both Alicent and Whisper serve an important role in royal stories, the connection to people of a lower house or a lower caste. So, Whisper, Darcy's attendant, has been traveling back and forth from Devon, secretly checking in on Hope and the castle. She's the one that picks up Hope's letters. There are also some humans in the facility, such as Sinead, that offer their blood freely.
I'll never get used to that.
What, miss?
All these hippies just offering their veins.
And this gets into one of my favorite aspects of vampire stories, the human servants or familiars. Probably the most famous current day example of this is Guillermo de la Cruz, a familiar in FX's What We Do in the Shadows.
Being a vampire's familiar is like being a best friend who's also a slave.
Familiars are also used to talk about obedience, control, and the human desire to be closer to the supernatural. Humans that offer their blood freely in a vampire story provide a voyeuristic mirror to the people listening to that story. It reminds us of our place in the vampire world. In the chapel, Fëanor gives Darcy flying lessons, or at least levitation lessons, to start. Darcy expresses her desire to move past training and confront the Queen, especially since she's concerned over Rook's situation.
He's in trouble, Fëanor.
As admiral as Darcy's bravery is, fighting off the council will be much different than fighting off Calistrata.
She was a single anointed one, Darcy. The council is 6.
They are scions of the Queen herself, and much more powerful. Fëanor warns her the road ahead is a dangerous one that will endanger everyone she loves. Darcy must be prepared to make difficult choices.
I can turn my back on the love of my life for the greater good when the time comes. Can you?
Feeling the weight of the warning, Darcy writes Felix farewell after taking him on a Valentine's date. Fëanor intercepts her on the dock, having been notified by Felix. Frustrated, Darcy demands to be tested to see if she's truly ready. Fëanor concedes and instructs to board the boat.
Where are we going? Is this another lesson?
No, Darcy. This is the test.
We cut to Hope running through the woods back to Lochran Castle, where she is reunited with Penelope.
Everyone's been losing their minds. We were coming to look for you. How did you get away?
I saw him rip your bloody heart out.
No, don't worry. They put me back together again.
Penelope is one of my favorite characters in this story. Imagine someone with the heroism of a World War II spy, but with the abilities of a vampire. Like if Peggy Carter became one of the undead, but still fought for the good guys. She's confused about how she's escaped and made her way back, as Hope has no memory. Hope's even more puzzled about what kind of blighter attacked her.
Vampires who've been turned by the Queen have elevated abilities. Her blighters are more like shades. Her shades are more like overlords.
She's taken to the infirmary for inspection with Dr. Arda. He tells her that she has a concussion. She is placed in the care of Lydia so she can keep an eye on her.
Oh, I get it now.
There we go. I knew that clip would help you out. Meanwhile, Penelope benches Hope, much to her chagrin. Hope's a walking target now. She can't get exposed again. Together, they discuss why the Queen would target Darcy.
Did Darcy happen to mention the Winter Child? It's a story in the dissident community. It's not as if the Queen is universally revered. Our politics are just as messy as yours.
Fearing for her sister, Hope begins strategizing how to get in touch with Darcy to warn her. Just then, a group of travelers arrives, not from Soho. Odd that they would even know where this location is.
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences.
One of the survivors was Hope and Darcy's mom, who they thought was dead.
How is this possible? You were clipped by a lorry.
Her story is that she was recovering in Wales for a time before setting off to find her girls. Her mother states that her cancer has returned and she would love to contact her daughter before it's too late.
No. You said Winter Child.
That's what they called her. Is that not right?
Hope's head begins to spin, and it's revealed that she's been under a spell, and the council has been interrogating her this entire time. She never got away.
I knew it!
A vampire named the Preceptor, who has powers very similar to the mutant mastermind in the X-Men comics, has been toying with her mind for the council.
Your Graces, if you'd indulge the interrogation a moment longer, I'm sure I could...
Again, the way Impact Winter uses spells offers a new twist to the genre. Dracula used spells to capture people, and we've seen vampiric hypnosis in True Blood, Buffy, and even over-hypnosis causing the brain scramblies in What We Do in the Shadows.
Radio? Ha, bowling ball.
Nando wants to kill Sean because he's got the brain scramblies.
In vampire stories, we will often see people disconnected from their true self or body. It's typically done to highlight an injustice on the part of the bewitched. Here, it makes us feel sorry for Hope. Impact Winter has updated this idea of hypnosis for the 21st century, like how in Season 1, it's revealed that pharmaceuticals can be used to dull the effects of hypnosis. But I especially loved how this chapter presents hypnosis from the point of view of the humans. And the format of an Audible original makes this fully immersive for the audience, because because we have to imagine what we're seeing. We're adding our own hypnosis into this scene. It's like we are being enchanted along with Hope. They order her to be put back in her cell with the other one as an alternative measure is being put into place.
Who's the other one?
Take a guess.
How do you know my name?
Through a mutual friend.
Now, who could have seen that coming?
I did.
Yeah, me too. High five. In actual reality,
Snap back to reality.
Penelope is brought in by her trainees and strapped to a gurney. She became feral after the blighter pulled out her heart.
Lydia! Blood! No!
Here, Doctor. She's coming back.
This is similar to the Vampire Diaries, where the most popular way to kill a vampire is to rip out their heart. Penelope returns to herself once blood is returned to her system, and later she chats with Mayor Gussie about what happened and why her heart was removed.
He just ripped my heart out.
Why?
He knew I couldn't heal without it. He was making sure I drained. I was a trap.
Penelope finally admits that she knows who attacked them. Humble John, a crusader the Queen turned in the Middle Ages. They surmise that Hope has been the target all along and they need to get a hold of Darcy. Once she's healed, Penelope heads back out to look for clues on how to reach out to her. She keeps a field log in the process. She checks the post box, but the letter is still there. Next, she drives to the manor on the Vale. Empty. She does, however, uncover many correspondence letters between Rook and Fëanor.
With respect to the mysterious red-haired girl, I make it a rule not to bring anyone into the fold before their 21st year, but keep a close watch and you'll know when the time is right. I remain intrigued. Do keep me posted.
With this newfound information, Penelope communicates to Gussie that she believes that Darcy is with Fëanor, and because the name is Gaelic, that means that Darcy could be in Ireland. They don't know for sure and must question the last person who saw her. If the rumors are true, that means the refugees from Soho.
You know they don't like to talk about their time there.
One of them might be more inclined than the others.
Who?
Wieners.
Given that Lydia and Hope were close, Penelope asks Lydia if she can unlock her memories at Soho just when it concerns Darcy.
You can learn a lot from Lydia.
She gives consent.
But we're not going to worry about the ugly parts. I just want you to think of the one who saved you. Focus.
We don't know it's safe in Antrim.
Relieved to have a location, Penelope bids farewell to Gussie, promising to return, and heads out, but not without Lydia.
Can't take you with me, Lydia.
You owe me.
Conceding to her plea, Penelope agrees to let Lydia tag along. Over in Ireland, Darcy journals recent events. It's February 15th, 2044. Fëanor and Darcy dock at a mysterious island. Throughout her journey, Darcy feels the psychic rope between her and Felix. She hopes the anxiety she's feeling is more hers than Felix's. In the barracks, Felix and Whisper chat about Darcy's sudden departure.
Do you think she'll be cross with me?
Well,
No, I don't care. I'm cross with her. Just leaving me like that.
She didn't want you to get hurt.
Shouldn't I have a say in that?
Do you want to get hurt?
Whisper tells Felix to
Calm yourself,
Felix notices then that Whisper is dressed for a date and tells her to go. He doesn't need a babysitter. Cut back to the island. Darcy attempts to bottle up the feelings being channeled from Felix as she makes her way to the storied cave entrance. As they walk, Fëanor shares a bit more backstory about herself. The council believes Fëanor was in New Zealand when the comet hit, drowning under the massive tsunamis, but she was actually in Devon with Rook. This is why she's been able to stay hidden all this time.
Clever girl.
Why would Rook have letters from her lying around the mansion then? Penelope found them immediately.
The letters weren't signed. Penelope only deduced it was Fëanor after finding a photograph. She doesn't really know for sure.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Anyways, Darcy suddenly feels Felix reaching out for her and grows distracted. He's left the barracks to try and join her, but is followed.
Whisper, Christ! You scared the piss out of me.
Sorry.
Felix is a vampire, but he still feels like he's not pulling his weight in Darcy's eyes. He doesn't want to be treated with kid gloves, and that's how Darcy unintentionally makes him feel. Suddenly, a human militia group can be heard in the distance.
Who goes there? Oh shit! It's the militia. What do we do?
Come on, this way.
Finally, Fëanor and Darcy reach the entrance of the cave. It's called the Devil's Delve. Inside is the test.
Thousands of years ago, my maker's maker arrived here, carrying a box that he hid in this cave. A box containing a single blood-stained dagger, hewn from a lump of iron that fell from the African sky.
This blood-stained dagger is believed to be the only weapon capable of killing the Queen. Others who have tried to claim the blade burst into flames once they put a hand on it.
Do you still feel that you're ready?
No pressure.
We are left on a brief cliffhanger and cut back to Felix and Whisper hiding in a church. Now, while they hide, Whisper shares a bit of her backstory to convey sympathy for his frustrations. When she was human, she worked at a brothel, sweeping the floors. The Greek, aka Callistrata, aka her maker, owned the brothel. This is where she was turned.
She held me dying in her arms like a baby, and she asked me what I'd change if I had it all to do over again. I told her that I wished I'd been stronger, more intimidating. more like her.
Callistrata coaxed out violent tendencies from baby vampire Whisper, such as murdering her entire family. Callistrata eventually ended up sending Whisper off to Rook when she began showing signs of remorse.
I'm glad she did. He was kind to me. Darcy does need you, Mr. Felix. She just doesn't need you to fight for her. You're not her fighter. You are her refuge.
Just as Whisper's words begin sinking in, pun intended, the militia soldiers begin breaking down the doors.
Here's Johnny!
Whisper and Felix head out the back. Back in the Cave of Hell, Darcy decides to go for it and take the test. She wanders in, stepping on the charred remains of past vampires, and makes her way to the small box that seems to throb with
Phenomenal cosmic powers!
An icy chill shoots through her nerves as she grabs the mystic dagger. Suddenly, she finds herself in a flashback scene in broad daylight with a crisp blue sky. So intense was the scene that when she climbs back out of the cave with the dagger in her hand, she's trembling. Fenora begins questioning what happened, and Darcy struggles to find her words.
What did it show you?
2 women and a little girl. The older one was dead. The little girl, too. Only the older, I guess, daughter remained.
And here I have to talk about the symbolic importance of daggers and swords in myth and blockbuster storytelling. There's famously Excalibur in the Age of King Arthur, and lightsabers in Star Wars, and the Sword of Gryffindor in Harry Potter. Swords and daggers are often used to prove worthiness. I think this will have implications for Impact Winter Season 3, but no spoilers for Part 2 just yet. Before either of them can decipher what the image means, Darcy feels the tether of Felix calling out to her again. Unable to avoid the call any longer, Darcy takes flight for the first time and magically appears by Felix's side with a headless Whisper.
Oh, it's not true.
She has been killed by the militia and they've taken her head.
No! She was my favorite.
Yeah, man, talk about the therapy Felix is gonna need after that. It's a classic Uncle Ben situation. So much is going on that you get not 1 but 2 recap videos for this season of the Audible original series Impact Winter. So what do you guys think about this season? Do you think that Darcy will go out and kill the entire militia? Will Felix need to take a Xanax? Can vampires even take Xanax? Whatever your comments are, leave them below, or you can @Audible or me on Twitter. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.